Good afternoon, folks. This is Greg Silverman from the Westside Campaign Against Hunger. We're going to start in 1 minute as we have our semi-annual dashboard and pandemic update from the Westside Campaign Against Hunger team. So just hold on 1 second, please. Just for housekeeping, make sure you are muted, and if you have questions for us, you can type them in, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. Look forward to speaking in a few seconds. To show up, and we'll be with you in 1 second. There we go. Yep. Okay, well, once again, thanks folks for taking a little time on a Friday afternoon to join us here at the Westside Campaign Against Hunger. I'm Greg Silverman. I'm the executive director here of the Westside Campaign, for those who don't know me. This is our semi-annual, normally our dashboard presentation, which is obviously being repurposed more for our COVID-19 update. We're gonna get going right now, but a few things, just key reminders. If you have questions, type them in for us, and we'll get them to them at the end. Our team will review them and answer questions at the end. Please put yourself on mute, and we'll get started. So we'll have a bit of a presentation, so this will toggle back between pictures of people and pictures of content. So as I said, I'm the executive director of the Westside Campaign Against Hunger. We've been around for 40 years, those of you who have been with us many of those years, and our mission is to alleviate hunger by ensuring that all New Yorkers have access with dignity to a choice of healthy food and supportive services. I firstly want to thank the WSCA staff for all their efforts, never giving up, never backing down, always helping each other out amidst this pandemic to bring light and support to each other and to the community. Also to the board and advisory board of the Westside Campaign, who continue to support us in incredible ways, to all our volunteers for their service, and to our customers who continue to show up for their needs and to trust us for that support. So we thank everyone who's on the line today. On a Friday, I normally send out a note to the staff and board, try to give some hope, some light, but as we all know, this pandemic's affecting us, each and every one of us, whether it's people being ill, people passing away, people you work with not being able to perform their jobs because of so many issues, and truly a sense of fear, grief, worry, and despair. So I can't tell you that the worst is past us, but because it's gonna get worse, right? But what I can say this week, and like I feel every week, is that for me it's reaffirming that WSCA is and will continue to be essential services and an essential part of the support for this New York City community, and we're really proud of that. A month ago, we were planning for our spring lunch, one of our great events. We have it in the social hall. 200 people come to have an amazing meal with our culinary students cooking that. We were thinking about our planning for the year ahead, and our dashboard briefing. So I'm gonna flip to maybe I'll flip to the slides, just to give people 1 second, give us a pause as we all continue to learn technology. So can we go ahead. Next slide. So I'm going to give a little update. The program team members will give different updates of our efforts. Our finance will have an update. We'll have a fundraising, communication, volunteer update. We'll have some Q&A, and then we hope you stay to the end because we'll have a little call to action. So let me give you some further updates. So I'll flip forward to the next slide. So this is what we would normally do 6 months into our year. We would show you our dashboard, and our dashboard is a tool we use to show how we are doing as an organization. We are not afraid to show how we're doing, the positive and the negative. You know, what's green means it's good. What's yellow means we're cautious about it. And if there's a red on there, it means, whoa, this is a big flag and we need to do something about it. We were really proud coming into early March about this dashboard because, as you can see, things were looking green. It's like an early spring with, you know, just blooms everywhere. Our fundraising was on track. Our supportive services were on track. Our culinary graduations were on track. Our percentage of fresh produce was on track. We were doing an amazing job across our efforts. And we were looking forward to presenting on this. But as you all know, on Friday, for us, Friday the 13th was a turning point for WSCA, and March in general has been, right? This is when the pandemic occurred and it all changed. So in the next 30 minutes, members of the team are going to present on our efforts to date, the first 6 months of the year, and really very quickly, and they'll very quickly turn to what has been the major flips and changes that they've had to make for this organization to make sure we're fulfilling our mission, no matter what the situation occurs. So for me, in brief, it's been awe-inspiring to see our team come together in service of our community. You know, it's a true testament to the entire team's flexibility, what we've done over the last 3 weeks. Safety has definitely been our highest priority, leading us to change our entire model of doing business. What you know about WSCA and how we operate, the longest standing customer choice pantry in America, if not the world, does not exist anymore. Instead, we have a pantry that gets built and broken down every single day on the street in Upper Manhattan on 86th Street. Our social service operations are now fully virtual. Our spring lunch will not have a physical gathering in the space you see behind me, and won't have our amazing culinary students cooking that food for them. Our 1,700 volunteers who work with us every year, that program was suspended almost 3 weeks ago out of safety concerns. And the hardest was telling our customer volunteers, those people who volunteer sometimes 20, 30, 40 hours a week and have been doing it for well over a decade, that no, we couldn't have them come in to volunteer with us because as seniors and with vulnerable health conditions, we needed them for their own safety to stay home. And that, as a bedrock and core of our entire community, to me was the hardest message I've had to deliver since I've been at WSCA the last 3 years. But we can continue to find new ways to reach the need. We've upped our communications. We hope you're hearing from us more often, and also with our community to make sure they're being alerted to our shifting efforts and schedules. We've had an outpouring of support. Over 500 people have donated to WSCA in the last 3 weeks. We've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to make sure our community continues to be served, that we have the operational tools from trucks to forklifts to extra staff to do that work, and that our staff itself are supported in all the ways we need to make sure that they feel safe, secure, emotionally, physically, financially. We've applied for hundreds of thousands of dollars of rapid response grants to continue to meet the growing need. And we built new partnerships that you're going to hear about as well. And it's a testament to 40 years of WSCA's innovation. Our team has been flexible and seen the need, and we continue to drive change to make sure that everyone in this city has access to healthy food and supportive services. It's that simple and it's that complex. So when's this going to end? When will we get past these issues? You know, these are sort of the same questions we've been asking for 40 years related to food insecurity. When will food insecurity end? Well, we simply keep adapting and pushing hard, and with our community to make sure that we can meet the need with them, for them, and to drive change in people's lives. So I'm going to pause here. We're going to turn it over to Allison Rosenthal, who's our Senior Director of Programs, and she's going to speak to a lot of the programmatic efforts that her and her team have been leading across the city. So thank you, and we'll pass it on to Allison.
I think you need to okay. Hi, am I unmuted? Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. As Greg said, I'm Allison Rosenthal. I'm the Senior Director of Programs at WSCA. I am going to speak a little bit about where we are to date, the first 2 quarters of the fiscal year, and then I'm going to hand it over to Elizabeth Richards and Amy Mohedano to talk about our most recent COVID-19 efforts and our efforts to continue to provide food and supportive services to our community. As you can see from the program dashboard, all of our charts are in green, which means that we are on target to meet or exceed all of our program goals this year. Through December, we have seen, we've serviced over 8,600 households, which puts us at about 75% of our target just after the first 2 quarters of the fiscal year. We've also provided nearly 800,000 pounds of food, almost half of which was fresh fruits and vegetables. And this is greatly exceeding the targets that we had set out for ourselves. And we are always fiscally mindful, and 65% of all of that food came from in-kind sources. As it pertains to our supportive services, we've, through December, been able to provide over 2,200 cash and non-cash benefits to the WSCA community. And again, we've exceeded our targets here thus far. We're at 57% of our annual goal. With our Culinary Pathways program, we had one, this year we've had one cohort that was in the fall, where we enrolled 16 students and graduated 13. In the middle of, we had another cycle, or have another cycle that has begun, but has been so far cut short due to the COVID-19 crisis. But we are tentatively scheduled to have 2 more cohorts for the remainder of this fiscal year, but we'll see what happens given everything that's happening with the COVID crisis. I will now hand it over to Elizabeth Richards to talk a little bit about how we've altered our model and what we are doing to continue to provide food to our customers.
I need to get unmuted. Oh, hi. Hi, everybody. So as Allison pointed out, my name is Elizabeth Richards. I'm the Culinary Program Director at WSCA. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we're doing programmatically in terms of actual packing bags of food to give to our customers. So as Allison pointed out, when the COVID-19 crisis happened, I was actually in the middle of teaching a class. I had started with 20 students and I had 19 enrolled, who fortunately are still a part of our WSCA community. So while we're on a pause, we will come back to that. And luckily I've been able to be repurposed to do some different work that I'm going to tell you guys about. So as the threat of COVID-19 grew and New York became one of the hotspots in the US, the leadership at WSCA was faced with this massive question. How do we efficiently distribute our healthy food to our customers while also maintaining social distancing measures? We knew that the economic threat of and the impact of COVID-19 would result in an increased need for the services we provide, whether it's social services or the food itself that we give out. And so what we determined was that we would actually ultimately have to temporarily suspend our choice model that we're known for and actually distribute pre-packed food bags of groceries so that we could give out as much food as humanly possible while maintaining our own safety at the same time. So like I said, I was repurposed after Culinary Pathways ended to help lead the bag packing initiative. And I was also luckily able to support and manage some of the volunteers that we've had brought in to help us with all of our efforts. So what we've done is we completely emptied out our pantry, and we've transformed the social hall of the Church of St. Paul and St. Andrew and the actual physical sanctuary of the church. You'll later see a picture of what we've done in that space. And we've transformed it into just a bag packing machine, essentially. And myself and our pantry staff and other WSCA staff who have also been repurposed have been spending our days just going and packing as many bags as we humanly can so that we can distribute healthy food to our customers, both physically at 86th Street and also at some of our mobile distribution sites. And ultimately, you know, while we have changed so much about what we're doing right now, we've really maintained and stayed true to our roots in that what we're really focusing on is how to distribute food in pre-packed bags, but following the My Plate model and ensuring that we fulfill our mission that all New Yorkers have that access to healthy and nutritious ingredients. So when customers come to Wisco, when they come to one of our mobile sites, what they're actually each getting is a bag of fruits, they get a bag of vegetables, a bag of grains, a bag of proteins, and a bag of dairies. So while we are outside on the street giving out bags, we are replicating the Wisco experience as much as is humanly possible. And just one example of the bag that we gave today. Today we were distributing vegetable bags that had lots of sweet potatoes and carrots and onions and beetroot and romaine lettuce and bell peppers. So even though we are doing that street distribution, people are still getting that high quality food that we want to ensure that people are getting. And just a quick little story to tell you before I hand you over to Amy to talk about our distribution itself. One of my students came by last week. Her name is Glory Marcolone, and she came to pick up groceries from the pantry so that she could feed her family. And ever since coming, she's texted me once a day, maybe even multiple times a day, to let me know and show me pictures of the food that she's been cooking with the ingredients we give out. And so I just want, you know, while I really miss my students, all 19 that we had in the class at the time of suspension, I'm still connected to my students, and I feel proud to be doing the work that I'm doing at Wisco. So I just wanted to let everybody know that even through this transitional period, we are always there to support people who are in need, whether they're my students or anyone in New York, as we see this new pool of people who need access to food. So we are in fact all in this together. So now I'm going to pass you over to Amy to talk about distribution.
You're on.
Hi everyone, I hope you guys are staying well and at home. As you guys all know, Wisco is a community of change makers. We always have been, and we're not gonna let COVID-19 defeat us. And just like that, we were able to transform our pantry and social services operations within like 2 days. So, you know, social services are still being provided, and now more than ever, we are remotely working. We are providing clients with SNAP screenings, unemployment benefits, health insurance, and referrals to other local pantries that they might be in need of. Right now, what we're seeing is that a lot of our pantry clients are coming in and they're asking us for help with unemployment, especially because unemployment, the site has been crashing. They can't get through no one on the phone. So they're really relying on us for the extra support. Our SNAP screenings have been out the roof. Our NOAP coordinator is working from home screening for pantry services. Everyone who comes and picks up a pantry bag, whether they're existing clients or new clients, are being provided with our social services flyer that you see there on the screen in Spanish and in English. And that's how they've been able to reach our staff. On an average day, we're serving anywhere between 30 to 50 new individuals that have come here for the first time here at Wisco. The population has changed a little. So we're used to seeing traditional families and women coming up to pick up pantries. Now what we're noticing is that there's a lot of men standing in line getting groceries. And when we engage in conversations with them, these are men that have been working in the restaurant industry who have lost their jobs and now are trying to save their money for rent and other expenses and are really coming out to the streets to pick up food. And they also need help with applying with unemployment benefits and SNAP, and these people have never received any type of public benefits before, so now they need that extra support. One story to tell you guys, we partner with this agency called Barrier Free Living. They reached out to us asking for food for their clients, and they came over on Monday. to pick up food for 40 individuals. These are individuals who have been victims of domestic violence that have disabilities, so they can't come out of their homes. So the social worker came and picked up 40 bags for them. And that's a little bit of the view of what we've been doing here at social services. In the last 3 weeks, we moved our model, Monday, March 20th. And for this entire month of March, we've already seen over 340 new families coming to WISCA to pick up food. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Stephanie Mulshare for the mobile update.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. My name is Stephanie Mosier. I'm our Partnership and Outreach Manager here at Westside Campaign Against Hunger. I work really closely with our mobile market, and so I'll give a brief update of how that has transitioned during this crisis. So prior to the COVID-19 crisis, mobile market was in full service to about 15 different partners throughout Northern Manhattan and the Bronx. And much like here at 86th Street, we've had to shift our model to a pre-packed bag format where we are dropping off those pre-packed bags to the host sites who are then distributing it to their customers. Unfortunately, a number of our previous and existing partners have had to close. We serve a lot of seniors at a lot of senior centers, so their staff has all been sent to work remotely, and they're having home delivered meals and not able to distribute groceries to the seniors right now. And a number of our community-based nonprofit partners have moved their entire workforce remote, so they don't have the capacity right now. However, we have been able to drop off bags to a number of our church partners, as well as City Council member Mark Levine. His staff was working entirely remotely, but all together decided that they wanted to come in for this specific day that we could drop off 200 bags, pre-packed bags for their constituents that were gone in about an hour and a half. So that just kind of speaks to the need that's out there to bring food to people. And so as part of that, we have been able to expand a few of our partnerships and to create new ones. Through our partnership with New York Presbyterian Hospital, we are now doing weekly distributions of 50 bags for household sizes of 4. And these are all going to families that are patients of New York Presbyterian Hospital in Washington Heights, who have children age 0 to 5 and are food insecure. So that has been a great expansion of that. And also through that partnership, we've been connected to 2 other organizations that starting next week will be doing a similar drop for the rest of the month of April. And these 2 organizations, one in Washington Heights and one in the Bronx, serve primarily undocumented families who will be especially hard hit economically with this crisis, as they're not going to be eligible for unemployment benefits or these stimulus checks. And so they are in desperate need for additional food. So we're very excited to launch that initiative next week. And as Amy spoke to, we'll be connecting them, of course, to our SNAP enrollers and our social service counselors to provide any kind of virtual support that they need. And then yesterday, actually, we also launched a pilot initiative with the Children's Aid Early Childhood Center in the Bronx, where we dropped off 100 bags of household size of 2 for everyone, for their early childhood and intervention families. So that went really well. We're hoping to expand with them as well. And finally, one of, I think, the most exciting initiatives and what we are ready for next week is we were contacted by the New York City Health and Hospitals, Bellevue Hospital. One of they're discharging about 300 patients a day from their emergency room, mostly related to coronavirus. And one of their biggest needs is food. So many of the patients that come in and out of their hospital are food insecure, housing insecure, and really impacted right now. And so next Friday, we'll be dropping off about 1,700 bags to Bellevue Hospital for them to distribute throughout the week of entirely shelf-stable and easy to cook foods, since a lot of their patients are housing insecure and may not be able to cook or store fresh produce and things like that. So that is a new initiative that we are launching and hope to expand potentially elsewhere. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to John LeBreton, who's going to provide a finance update.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm John LeBreton. I'm the head of finance and administration here at Wisca. I thought I'd just give you a very quick update. The way I look at finances is really mission support. So on top of finance, I also cover HR, facilities, and technology. And the reason I say that is because, you know, with COVID-19, we have just, as Greg said, we have just transformed our model. So when you transform your model, obviously you incur a ton of costs. So right now, and I think the big ones, as you know, we've talked about it before, food, you know, right now we're probably spending $15,000 a week versus $5,000 in the previous months. Supplies, labor, technology, all those things to really bring us to change our operations and do the, you know, the mobile deliveries and all the other wonderful things that we're starting to do, but just in a virtual nature, right? I think the other thing relates to business continuity. We've also made sure that we're continually paying our people and paying our suppliers. We're also helping out on procurement. You know, because we've changed our model, we've had to buy different things at different times with different quantities. And then just also on the business continuity front is really cash flow. So as you've seen in the Q1 and Q2, we've had very strong cash flow. We still have very strong cash flow. What we've done is accelerated our grants receivables. We've asked all our funders to pay us up front. I think a lot of them have exceeded our request. And, you know, and we're also supporting the fundraising efforts that Erica is going to speak about here in a moment. And then I just want to talk a little bit about the HR front. I think that's an essential part here because, you know, our staff and volunteers have really, you know, have done an amazing job during this crisis. You know, a couple of things that we have set up. Number one is some wellness sessions. And number two, we've also looked at some enhancements because, you know, we've had people start coming into the facility, especially our food distribution people. So we've given them an enhanced incentive to recognizing that the costs are greater for them to come in the facility. So I think, you know, in terms of what I would say for the next quarter, you know, we're looking pretty strong in the cash flow side, but, you know, one never knows. And so, you know, we've tried our hardest, our emphasis here, supporting fundraising to get all the dollars up front because, you know, as you go along, you'll see that, you know, we're going to still incur a ton more costs. So with that, I mean, I think that's a good update. With that, I will turn that over to Erica, who's going to talk about fundraising.
Oh, hi, I think I'm unmuted now, am I?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I am gonna quickly, like Allison did, I'm gonna quickly talk about kind of where we were through midway year, and then I'm gonna kind of go into some COVID relief fundraising communications and talk about the great work we've done in the last 3 weeks to revamp our volunteer program. So a couple things on the communication front. We obviously have like all different kind of channels that we use to get out our messages, such as, you know, emails and social medias. One of the things I'll just highlight is that, you know, this year we really tried to deeper our engagement with our community and tell the story of Wisca, and especially because we were celebrating our 40th anniversary. And we also did a lot more outreach to the Turkey Challenge than we did. And what we found was that we actually sent out more emails than we had ever really sent out before. And with that, we had people kind of, you know, maybe feel like it was too much and take themselves off our email list. So that's why you're going to see some yellow in terms of on some of the communication updates. We're trying to be better about segmenting our communications, and we know it's something that's definitely on the forefront for the year ahead because we want people to be engaged and we don't want people to feel like we're bombarding them with messaging. after the second quarter, we were at almost 12,000 hours for volunteerism, which is about 50% of our goal. This year, we saw actually an increase in groups this year, such as corporate groups and schools, which is great. It means we're getting out in the community more. And we also saw a really big increase in repeated individual volunteers, which is also great. One of the areas that we haven't really seen an increase in is in repeated customer volunteers. I don't necessarily know why, but I think that it's something that we as an organization definitely need to think about, and then maybe think about what it means for the current climate with COVID-19 and what being a customer volunteer might mean post all of this, right? So I think there'll be some real opportunities to increase that there. As this is really a core part of our work, volunteerism. And also, we continue to push forward on advocacy efforts. We're at about 50% of our goal, and we continue to meet with, city and state and representation to really make sure we're pushing on issues that impact our customers and also that impact on our funding streams that are linked to our food purchasing and things like that. So I don't know. John, do you want to switch the screen? Okay. So, as everyone was saying, 3 weeks ago, the world had a huge shift, especially at WISCA. We've been working incredibly hard on fundraising, volunteerism, and communications. I'm going to give you a little bit of update. So I've been working really closely with Greg and our, and our board and advisory board to really make sure that we're connecting with some of our key major donors and making direct asks for relief gifts. As John said, we've seen a huge increase in costs on our food and all the operational shifts we've had to make. So we've been really successful at securing some major relief gifts. And actually, by end of day today, the number's a little higher. We actually have $525,000 out in relief grant making to New York Community Trust, Robin Hood. And I also just want to say that this week, I worked incredibly closely with Cynthia Roney on our board. And within less than 24 hours, she and I turned around a proposal and secured $125,000 of funding for WISCA. That really allows us to be able to respond to these acute emergency needs that we are seeing, that people are coming and asking us to really make sure the most vulnerable populations, like undocumented workers who might not be able to apply for essential benefits. So really huge cheers to Cynthia for that. It was incredible. We've also been working to really engage our network and our key constituents. We've reached out to all of our amazing religious institutions that support us, who have generously been sending out emails to their communities on our behalf. Key constituents such as Councilmember Mark Levine has sent out emails for us to over 20,000 people. So we really feel very supported. Our board and advisory board is outreaching for us as well as our schools and our Turkey Challenge Coalition. So we really feel that we are engaging, our entire community in this. And the truth is that we all have an opportunity to be a part of this solution. And to me, there's no more organization that's rooted in community than WISCA. And we're all a huge community of solving this together. So I've never been more proud to be a part of that community. So in regards to communication, I think as an organization, we've also been really trying to be very sensitive that everyone is having similar feelings and really being mindful of the way we communicate to people in this crisis. We've also gotten some nice press placements about our work, which is important because hunger is on people's radar right now. Most of you know that we have a collective purchasing group with some of the largest emergency food pantries, and there's a fantastic op-ed that our executive director, Greg Silverman, wrote with the other leadership at New York Common Pantry, St. John's Bread and Life, Project Hospitality, on the importance of, first off, supporting emergency food providers, but also making sure you can support their staff too. So it's a really great op-ed. It went out in our all staff communication, our all network communication today. So I really recommend reading it. And also shows the power, again, that WISCA leads partnership and community. And then also yesterday, our Director of Social Services, Amy, who presented before, was interviewed at Telemundo, which is also really great for us to make sure we are communicating to all of our communities that they know that, that we are here to support them and we are going to ensure access to healthy food. So, you know, as Greg said before, we have this amazing volunteer program that's been flipped upside down in the last 2 weeks. I think that what we've been able to do in less than the last 2 weeks to redesign this and implement an entire new volunteer strategy, right? So we had a 1,700 person volunteer program that really supports hours and hours of operations for us every single day. And then they just weren't there. So the stress on staff, and we had to really quickly figure out what we were gonna do. So we really went right to the source of volunteerism in New York. We already had a really good relationship with New York Cares. They were incredibly helpful for us for ensuring that we were having the right safety protocols, that we were going to do the proper vetting to people and how we were going to train participants coming in. We immediately had to improve all of our safety and food handling and distribution tools to make sure we were communicating all that. And then actually, really, it's just quickly helped us deepen our relationship with them. And they have been simply incredible. And we would never have been able to turn it upside down again and be able to relieve staff had it not been for all of the meetings that me and a colleague of mine had with New York Cares. Really a huge shout out to them as well. They've been huge for us. So. So it's kind of, I think we're gonna go back. I think we're gonna have a Q&A. I don't know if Greg's gonna facilitate this. I see a lot of fantastic questions coming up.
Bring it back on.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. Thanks everyone on the WISCA team for speaking a bit about the work you've been doing for the last 6 months and more acutely in the last few weeks. I think there's some questions coming in, but we can open it up if people have some verbal questions. I mean, I know the one question I don't think we answered yet that was written in was, right, there's a new initiative in New York City, an amazing initiative to make sure that anyone who wants meals can get them at school food sites, the 400 sites that are distributing food. We've already sent this out to our network of customers through our text capabilities that we use. So we communicate directly with our customers to make sure that they know that there's other great services out there for the community.
And if you have a question, this is John, you can unmute yourself now, and then we'll take a couple minutes to take questions if anyone has it.
Yeah, so just say your name and say your question.
This is Mark Aaron.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hi. I just had a question. John, you mentioned that a number of the grantors are accelerating their contributions to us this year and accelerating it now. I know we certainly need to focus on the crisis at hand and do whatever it takes to raise money now to deal with the pressures right now. But does that create any potential risk for later in the year where they say, hey, I already gave you what I was planning to and the well is dry? What do you think?
No, and I'll explain why. Our variable costs are gonna, so let's presume that the crisis goes down. We will consequently reduce our programming in the same format, and we'll keep our fixed costs. It was a way for us to get some cash up front, Mark, to allow us to start doing this purchasing. So okay. I asked our grant members to do that, right? Because the other way to do it is, you know, fundraise in the back end. So we knew that we were going to have some of these additional costs. And so the decision was made to say, hey, okay, call up all the grantors. And they were calling us and said, hey, you know what, could you advance us, not advance, but instead of making the payment in June, make it in April.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Other questions? I will say a few things related to, obviously, we'll have a bit more on the next slide, but right now, we know that many folks are trying to volunteer with us, and we need people to be patient because we're trying to do this in the safest way possible, right? So we are not bringing back huge quantities of volunteers right away. We're going to slowly keep bringing back volunteers as we have the systems in place, then make sure we have social distancing and safety measures in place for the safety of our staff, of the volunteers, of our customers. So I know we've gotten some feedback from folks being like, I just want to volunteer right now. It's like, just take time and relax, and we will get there and be back in a large quantity of volunteers, hopefully sooner than we think. So I guess I can take other questions, but
Greg, it's
I want
Claire.
to take any. Oh, Claire?
Yeah, do you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I was just looking at that last slide when it talked about amplifying the message. And I have been on something where a few people have asked me to share something on social media at a certain date, at a certain time, on Tuesday between 9 and 12, because they thought that could get things trending. And I don't know, I'm not nearly savvy enough to know if that's something worth considering asking your advisory board or your supporters to do, if there's a better time to make a blast about donations. It's just a thought.
I think we are talking to different people. We sort of, there's some best practice about what times of day and times of week you should send out asks.
Right.
But I guess I don't know, the closest we could come is like how we think about at the busiest giving times, right? Of whether it's
Right.
Thanksgiving or the holiday times or what happened during Hurricane Sandy. So, but it's somewhat uncharted territory
Right.
of when to do these things. So, I don't have an answer for you there. I think when we think about amplifying our message, it is that idea of, can people share these through their networks? Whether it's on your own Facebook or sending out a note to your same people you send holiday cards to,
Right.
sending the messaging out, sending it out on, if you have LinkedIn, whatever the platforms you use or your children use or your spouses use, using those platforms to get the message out to as many people as possible, because this is the time, and we know it's a short window when people will give, because a few months from now, people will be on to the next question.
Right.
But I don't think we technically at WISCA have a large enough presence as a staff, as a network of supporters, to actually sort of do a sort of larger social media push, like a thunderclap kind of thing.
Right.
That more national organizations do. We can jump onto their bandwagon, but
But what we're seeing, Claire, is and Erica can pipe in certainly on the fundraising front. It's really, that component is when you're trying to drive small dollars and small donations. And what we've been seeing is we've had better success with a little bit of a larger donation, $25 versus $1,000. And,
Right.
that social media strategy usually indicates a ton of smaller donations.
Got it.
Yeah.
to the point of this call to action, right? It's when we can send out a follow-up note to the folks who have joined onto this. We've sent out, I think, a link is already went through if you signed up for this to our website and the donate button on our website, right? The most important thing we need right now is funds, financial dollars, to be able to actually continue to purchase more food for our community, to make sure that we have the operational tools in place. Whether it's new pallet jacks, new transportation systems, rentals, equipment, hiring on contract staff, and also covering our staff, making sure that they feel safe and secure, that we're giving extra money to our staff for the incredible work they're doing. Thinking about how our benefits work, we pay 100% of all of our staff's health insurance, including their entire families. Like, we take our staff's safety and security very seriously, and in these times we do more, not less. So we're asking for more funds from people, not less. So we need it's very simple. Like sometimes people say, should we donate cans or should we donate dollars? The answer is always dollars, right? Like we can buy 3 cans for every can you give us. But we need people to amplify the message because we know that everyone has a network. We want you to use your network and make direct asks of friends, family, people in your community, businesses that you work with. I mean, our board member, Cynthia Roney, former board chair, you know, her making an ask internally at Bank of America, like that's a powerful piece, right? Like that is possible. And everyone has some ability to make those kind of asks in their networks. So we ask you to help us be part of the solution, and you as well as part of our community. So we thank you for your time. We thank you. Most people on this call have already been incredible financial, volunteer, engagement, advocacy supporters of WSCA. And we just ask again for you to dig deep and reach out far and wide to support the community. I'll pause there. I mean, my only other thing to say is I hope people find some way to have a little joy, have a little relaxation, and spend time virtually with friends and family you might not have connected with in a long time. So I hope people have a wonderful weekend as best they can, and we look forward to hearing from you all in the future. Thank you.